Yes, it sound live. The little red light says I'm live, so I must be live. Hello, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. If Let me do my spiel. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to my platform. If you're watching this doing a replay, thank you. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And now that I got that out the way, I'm gonna get into why I really came on here. Now, I'm not supposed to be on here. I'm not supposed to. The only time I'm supposed to be on here is to do my watch party on Tuesday night. But this shit here, this right here, is why as of 4 o'clock today, both houses are Democrat. Yes, both houses. So Georgia turned all the way blue as of 4 o'clock today. And it's for shit like this. My thing is that, if you're used to my usual watch party behavior and language, this ain't gonna be it. I'm gonna be cussing because I'm pissed off, and I'm gonna tell you why. If those people had been brown, black, or Muslim, and they did that, for one, they wouldn't have been able to get that close. For two, they have sprayed the whole damn place. Let's take it back to when you had the Black Lives Matter protests going on, and the way they cleared these people was peacefully protesting, and the way they pushed back and smoked and gassed and all of them just so that Mango Unchained could get across the street to do a photo op in front of a church and hold the Bible upside down and backwards. But y'all didn't you had folks get onto the floor of the Capitol of the chambers and sit. It's a picture of the dude sitting in the chair where the vice president is. How was they able to break those barriers right there? And I'm finna say it, and anybody that don't like it, you are free to unsubscribe and do it. The only reason that they let that happen is because the majority of that mob is white. I'm put out there. I ain't sugarcoating shit in 2021. No, I'm not sugarcoating shit. That's what it is. When they had those peaceful protests over summer, you couldn't get within 3 blocks of these buildings. And y'all knew that these folks was coming. They knew these folks was coming. They told y'all that they was coming. And they able to get into the Capitol, get onto the Senate, onto the floor, sit in the chair, the very chair that the vice president was sitting in. This dude is just sitting up in there chilling. Then you got the police saying we're gonna need backup. We're stretched thin. Why? Y'all, these folks was telling you they was coming. So why y'all didn't have all the police and stuff around the Capitol and all those buildings like y'all did during the summer when you had the protesters? You want to know why? Because I'm take it right back. Because that mob is white. If you had black people talking about they was gonna do that, they wouldn't have made it to the Capitol. They wouldn't have got that close. God forbid if it had been a Muslim, y'all have been ready to shoot. Y'all would have shot and asked questions later. But this is what's because I'm finna share my screen. I cannot believe this. And then to have Mango Unchained coming. I don't know if y'all seen that bullshit ass video he did. Instead of telling his folks, go home, y'all, you just so we can get back to business. I know you're upset because it was stolen from us, but this is not it. But I know you're upset because the election was stolen from us. And they need to lock his ass up because I think I've seen a couple of the broadcasters when I've been looking at it saying that this is an insurrection. And my thing is this. If anybody get killed, because from what I understand, it was a woman got shot in the chest and she's in critical condition. How did y'all let them get that far? The mayor of DC has said 6 o'clock, have your ass off my streets. But instead of coming on and trying to extinguish the shit and extinguish the situation, he throws more fuel onto the fire. I know you're upset. The election was stolen from us. This, that, and the other, you know. Then you got a Giuliani melting hairman talking about it wasn't going to be met. Something about it would be met with combat. That's easy for his goddamn gremlin looking ass say he ain't gonna be out there getting his head bashed in. And from what I see, ain't nobody else out there got their head bashed in. And I call bullshit because we seen over the summer how they was treating people that was peacefully protesting. And y'all let these folks just come and run amok. Now, I'm going to share some of this. I'm claiming, let me put my little banner across. Fair use. Under the Section 106 of the Copyright Act of 76, I'm able to use this clip. So, let's go to it. Wait a minute. Let me do this. Let me do this. Now y'all show y'all asses up. This makes no sense.
Or other public place within the district. When you were the police chief, did you ever have a curfew like that?
I don't recall. I mean, during the IMF World Bank, back in the early 2000s, there may have been a curfew. I just don't recall offhand. But nothing. We didn't have anything like this. I mean, the Capitol Police got overwhelmed. There'll be a lot of people looking at what happened there. I mean, there's about 2,000 Capitol Police. I don't know why they didn't have enough people available to at least prevent this from happening in the first place. Of course, you can always hit a tipping point where you just get overwhelmed. But they got overwhelmed awful quick, and there's no way they should have gotten in that building, in my opinion. But we'll look at that later. I mean, that's kind of like the hot wash after the event. Right now, they got to retake the Capitol.
Exactly. That's what they did. Treason. And his ass needs to be locked up.
Start arresting some of these people who broke windows and trespassed.
Come on now.
Entered into a secure area.
Okay.
Anybody inside that building, as far as I'm concerned, ought to be face down in handcuffs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they ought to be doing. I don't know what they're doing.
Insurrection, follow right. And he encouraged this shit.
Without question. But first they gotta gain control. And right now they don't have control. So yeah, but they're
as you and I know, there's a lot of closed circuit cameras inside that US Capitol, so they're gonna have a lot of evidence if they want to start doing all of that. What also worries me, Chief Ramsey, is that there's 14 days until the inauguration.
I'm just saying, hey,
Mr. I suspect the local police, the area
especially Lady P, you know, this time of year I ain't supposed to be on here, but I just couldn't sit back. I had to say something because I've been going crazy. I'm watching this
inauguration because the president has basically suggested he wants these individuals, rioters, to come back.
Well, there's chatter on the internet now about Occupy DC. And so I don't know if this is part of it or not, but that's not surprising. So, yeah, they're going to have to be on high alert. They're not going to be able to let these folks establish camps or anything like that. But the next challenge will be January 20th on the inauguration. But in the meantime, these next couple of days are going to be pretty dicey. And hopefully you don't get protesters show up that decide they're going to come out now in support of Biden or what have you. I mean, this is a mess. So they better establish control as soon as possible. Let me tell you, it's not going to be pretty. They're going to have to use physical force to get these folks moving. And
why they ain't started?
But they've got
why they ain't started yet?
There's no two ways about it.
Chief Ramsey, stand by. We're looking at the riot police that are now beginning to converge.
And here's my thing. Y'all didn't know that
You're watching what's going on. Tell us.
Okay, well, so we just saw a line of riot police move up the right side of the center steps on the Capitol's east side there, and you see them now at the top of the stairs. They are pushing some of the rioters down. They're not really pushing, actually. They're just lining the top of the stairs. Some of the rioters have just started moving down the stairs on their own, but again, not necessarily being pushed by the police, although the police, now you can see them walking down. So they're slowly walking some of these rioters off the steps, the center steps of the east side of the Capitol.
Yeah, they're walking them. Now the protesters,
after several hours that these people have been
during the summer, they was pushing and gassing them.
Building, occupying the balconies, occupying the center steps, and also the south end steps and the north end steps of the east side of the Capitol here. Now you see the police kind of walking them slowly off of the steps. Now this is unfolding peacefully right now.
Think back.
Let's hope that it's
when you had the protesters for Black Lives Matter and protesting against police brutality and all that. Think of how they was treated, and then look at these. I mean, they all up there. Look at them thugs.
And there were police.
It's the middle of the day. Why aren't these people at work? If they had jobs, they wouldn't be able to have all that time.
Slowly and peacefully moving people.
Look at these thugs. I hope they arrest and prosecute
these are
all of them.
Critical moments. So Chief Ramsey is still with us. You know, you were the police chief.
They should lock all of them up. Just look at them. Look at all of them.
A statement from Samuel Holiday.
I hope the police just take all of them.
Historical Society. And listen to this.
Why aren't they at work? It's a weekday. Why aren't they at work?
Has been breached.
Remember how y'all sound familiar? That same shit they were saying.
August of 1814 during the War of 1812. Just to give us a little.
That's what they were saying when the Black Lives Matter protesters was out there. They should be at work. They need to just lock all them up. They need to lock all them up.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see that.
If them had been brown and black people up down the thing, they wouldn't be they would have pushed their ass down the stage. They wouldn't be guiding them. This is some bullshit. I call bullshit. But again, like I said, that's why both houses now are blue, are Democrats. If you just coming in and you have not heard, not only did Warnock win his race, but John Ossoff beat Purdue. So now we got blue from the top to the bottom, baby. And they better get in there and do everything they need to do before the midterms. And when the midterms come, we're gonna have to show up and show out like we did for the general and for these runoff elections. We cannot let these clowns gain control of this country no more, because you see what they do when they got it.
Who are really egging it on by doing what they're doing. I mean,
that's destruction of federal property right there.
Insane, and someone's got to take control. It's not going to be the guy sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania, but somebody's got to take control and deal with this situation, because it's going to get worse. It will not get better on its own.
Yeah, it's really worrisome.
This is crazy.
John King is with us, Chief Ramsey. I'll get back to you. But John, the president earlier in the day was basically telling these individuals, walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, head to Capitol Hill. We got to get tough, basically. That was his message, and we heard even stronger words from his so-called lawyer, Rudy Giuliani.
Right. And other allies of the president have talked about holding the Republicans who will not stand up and help the president push his baseless, reckless, just false claims of election fraud. And so this environment was created by the president and his allies. Now, they will say they didn't tell anyone to climb through the Capitol windows. They didn't tell anyone to break into the speaker's office. They didn't tell anyone to break into the chambers. They will say that, but they encouraged this climate and they incited it. The president at one point today even saying he wanted to walk with them. Of course, he did not. That's what he does. He
should have brought his ass down
to others to do it. But so now you're in the leadership test challenge, and we'll have to follow on your conversation with Chief Ramsey. I've been texting with a member of the Democratic leadership on Capitol Hill, and to the chief's point, there's a lot of anger.
Can somebody explain this to me? How the hell we got a mayor
about how they got to
in the city of Atlanta when they acted up, came out and told them they need to stop?
And left a note. And what I was told was that the Capitol
now you got the mayor of Atlanta that came out to put a stop to the bullshit that was going on in her city. But now we got a so-called president sitting up there. They right down the street for him, and he comes out. I know you're upset.
You're leaving entrances unprotected.
Yes, it was stolen from us.
And now you're seeing these
pictures. No,
the cavalry has arrived. But there will be a lot of questions here, especially with the inauguration 2 weeks away.
You know, it's interesting, John. The Republican National Committee office is the headquarters right near Capitol Hill, just like the Democratic National Committee. They have their offices right near Capitol Hill. We're just now being told by our Dan Merrick and Mike Warren that the headquarters of the RNC was cleared after a suspicious device was found nearby. And the Democratic National Committee building was also evacuated after another suspicious package was being investigated. So this is really an expanding and very worrisome development that's unfolded.
Right. And without a doubt, not everybody there had any intention of anything like this, but they were there and part of it. And we're clearly here. You see, again, these are supporters of the president leaving alleged pipe bombs outside the offices of the Republican National Committee. So not a lot of thought going into this, and I'm being very polite. I could use much stronger words. So you have thugs here, knuckleheads, terrorists.
There you go. Exactly.
And again, there will be a lot of questions. How did this happen? who was involved. I think it's a very fair question. And we'll know, I'm sure some people have been arrested and we haven't seen it yet, people on the inside. But what has been done to send a statement from law enforcement will be a very big question after this. And then there'll be longer term questions about, forgive my language, Wolf, but how the hell did this happen? This protest was not a secret. It was publicly announced. And the Capitol Police clearly did not believe that there was a threat to the building. And we have watched it played out. There was a very serious and significant threat to the building at a time the entire United States Congress was in there, again, including the Vice President of the United States and the Vice President-elect of the United States, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, and so on and so forth. So there are going to be giant questions about how this happened, the challenge now. And as you see, as Brian Todd noted, they have come down to the bottom of the steps now. They're slowly starting to move them away. Hopefully that happens without violence, but there'll be a lot of questions. We have a ton of questions now, and there will be more and more as we learn more.
You know, I'm just anxious to get your reaction. The president tweeted a little video that he filmed just outside the Oval Office over there, and among other things, once again he repeated the lie. He said the election was stolen. He said he won a landslide election, which was, of course, another lie. But then he told these rioters, he said, "So go home. We love you. You're very special." Very special. What was your reaction?
Yeah, they real special.
Again, this is a consistent failure of leadership from this president to step up at moments of crisis and at moments when he needs to challenge his own supporters and tell them to behave and pay attention. So what does he say? Again, there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. No, there were not. The QAnon conspiracy theorists are quackpots. The president refuses to criticize them because they support him. Here, in that video, yes, he said, please go home. That is a good thing. That was necessary. But all around it, before it, after it, sprinkled in with it, was continuing to say the election was stolen, we were defrauded, I know why you're mad, I'm supporting you. You cannot take one log off the fire and then pour a barrel of gasoline on the fire. That does not solve the problem. It may have given temporary respite to any of these protesters who maybe saw on their phone the president tweeted to go home. Maybe it was part of some of the people starting to go home. Maybe it's just the hour of the day. We don't know that. But that is not the answer. And again, we've watched this from the president consistently. He will say when he's questioned about this, I did tell them to go home. And when he's challenged on the fraud part, he'll shrug and find some reason to distract or cause some other thing. But he lost the election. He lost the election. That is not in dispute. He had several opportunities, more than 60, to make his case the way we do it here in the United States, in a court of law, where you are challenged to present evidence.
And he lost.
It's not just the Democrats saying this today. So to the Trump supporters out there, this is not repeating what the Democrats said. Judge after judge after judge after judge after judge, many of them Republicans, several of them Donald Trump appointees said, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you have brought me zero credible evidence. Go away. This is over. The president needs to tell these people right there, it's over. Go home. Organize for the next election. Don't do this.
Yeah, that's so incredibly important. It looks, Brian Todd, like they're beginning to clear these individuals. They're beginning to tell them, you better get out of here. You better leave now. Otherwise, you're going to be arrested.
That's right, Wolf. We can kind of take you in a little bit here. I'll walk toward it a little bit. Riot police just kind of came to the foot of the steps and moved more rioters off the steps. So the rioters are pretty much completely cleared off the steps. These police that are in the green jackets kind of came and started lining the steps, and they're starting to push, excuse me, just have to walk around some people here, apologize for that. They're starting to push some of the perimeter here a little bit back toward 1st Street Northeast. So this is an area that was packed a short time ago, people lining the steps on the balcony, on top of the cars. I got to say, most of them left on their own, Wolf. They were not pushed off in any forceful way by the police. The remnants of them that were there,
I wonder why is that,
were walked down the stairs by about maybe 12, 13, 14 riot police that just kind of gently walked them down the stairs. Now, you do have, and Eddie, let's go over here to your right. You do have a little bit of a larger crowd over there by the north side of the Senate side of the Capitol, where we saw smoke grenades going off and the crowd kind of pushed back that way a short time ago. But it looks like that has calmed down as well. So, you know, we could see a calming of the situation here on the east side of the Capitol. We're also monitoring the situation on the west side of the Capitol, where it was very, very tense earlier today, as it was here. You know, we're standing in an area right now that was, when we got here this morning, it was barricaded off completely. You couldn't, I mean, there were police all over the place. There were bike rack barricades. There were several other barricades. And you got the sense that you just couldn't penetrate it. But, you know, clearly the rioters took control. The police were overwhelmed. The police pushed back, and you saw the chaos ensue inside the building and all of that. So right now, they seem to have things under control, but I do have to tell you that most of that is due to the protesters.
And you know what? That's the sad part about it.
Most of them on their own.
Yeah, let's see what happens. These next few hours are going to be critically important. Only about 50 minutes until the DC curfew goes into effect, the 12-hour curfew.
Hey, Stephanie Renee, welcome everybody. Hey, Marvin, welcome everybody coming in.
Out on the streets,
joining on both platforms.
Authorization from the mayor herself. Pete Montini, you're still up there as well, a different location. Tell us what you're seeing.
This is ridiculous. It is.
Well, this is not a protest, as others have mentioned. This is a mob. You know, we heard from President Trump earlier for this group to disperse peacefully. Not many people really got that message. In fact, only a few minutes ago, there was a group of media equipment set over.
I need to switch because my uncle just came in.
And we saw a group of this mob
and essentially started gassing,
using their fists, trying to dismantle the First Amendment coverage of what is happening here. It's ironic because the First Amendment protects us, but it also protects what the protesters here are doing. Not a protest anymore. At times, this is turning relatively violent. We have seen the movement of police not too long ago here. This is the Metropolitan Police Department of DC, but we have yet to see the National Guard here. We have heard from DC Mayor Muriel Bowser that the National Guard is on its way, and that state police from Maryland and Virginia will also be coming here to help. But I have to tell you that police are way outnumbered here by this pro-Trump group that essentially has taken over the Capitol. There is more police presence ramping up here as night falls on Washington, but this group seems to be in it for the long haul, and it seems like this will last well after sunset. Wolf?
Do we know, Pete, if there are still any of these rioters roaming around inside the House or the Senate, the U.S. Capitol, as we saw these ugly pictures emerge over the past couple hours?
I cannot speak to that, Wolf. There are plenty of people still outside here tonight, and I'm sure plenty of people would like to be inside, especially considering the fact it's going to be 30 degrees in Washington tonight. This is not going to be easy for the folks who are out here, but frankly, they shouldn't be here. This is a spot where you can't be as an everyday.
Okay, y'all, I'm doing this because I'm going to bring up coverage from another news platform because they're not showing. Let me see. Here we go. I'm gonna go here. Once I get it, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Watch live. Welcome everybody because I got another view from it. But it's taking a minute. But yeah, this is crazy. This right here. I don't get it. I don't get how these folks was able to get this fucking close. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to tell you, it was something to hear Congressman Mo Brooks, one of those first individuals at the rally this morning, say that today is the day the Patriots will begin to take names and kiss ass or kick ass. And then
they kissing ass. You had it right, homie.
Who then took the mic and said that there is going to be here. And I got to tell you, it was something to hear Congressman Mo Brooks, one of those first individuals at the Lincoln Memorial. Essentially, the land has been ceded here. And I think what you're now seeing is this effort here over the course of these next minutes to try to push these individuals out of this area here. I got to read you one sign that I've kept looking at repeatedly, Nicole, if I could. It said, "We the people will bring DC to its knees. We have the power," that has been hanging up over just to the left of the scaffolding on the Capitol here. Again, 2 weeks from now, this is where Joe Biden is set to be inaugurated as president of the United States. And yet, this is the scene that we're watching here in Washington, D.C. as the sun goes down.
Vaughn, have you had any access to any law enforcement, either local, state, or federal, that can answer the question why such a different response to an attempt to take over the United States Capitol than to the largely peaceful protests in Lafayette Square, which was militarized? General Milley roamed the streets in fatigues that he wears in Fallujah.
Nicole, I got to be honest with you. The best source of information that I've been getting and our team out here has been getting is via you guys, listening to you in our ears, because email is down. We can hardly send out a text message. There is no law enforcement to communicate with. Several of the streets, there's about a 2-mile square radius here around Washington, D.C. that streets were supposed to be closed. But as we made our way down here at around high noon, there were cars that were still going through. And we watched police vehicles struggle to get here to the Capitol grounds. Police officers getting out of their cars to conduct traffic here. Again, these were streets that were supposed to be shut down, and it was clear that by the time the insurrection inside of this U.S. Capitol started happening, it was too late, as police vehicles tried to make their way from other parts of D.C. to try to get down here to those grounds.
Von Hilliard,
and again, if I could,
go ahead.
The question about the President of the United States video, it would be great if in some way people could actually see that. But frankly, you can't upload a video here. You can't send a photo here. Essentially, any form of communication is absent here on the United States Capitol grounds right now.
Von Hilliard, do you feel safe?
I feel good. We've got our own private security here. We're standing back. Paul Rigney is our great photographer, Todd. We're good out here on these Capitol grounds right now.
I've been like, hell no.
Fawn, please come back with everything and anything you've got there. More questions come to my mind from all your great reporting than I think we have answers. We'll keep coming to you. Stay with us, my friend. I'm going to turn things over to Rachel Maddow.
We're going to bring back into the conversation now somebody else who is inside the Capitol. Joining us now on the phone from the Capitol complex is Democratic Congresswoman Christy Houlihan of Pennsylvania. She's former U.S. Army, Air Force.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to go back to CNN because they got another view. It's like different news outlets are getting different views of this. And we need to be live. But yeah, like I said, welcome to everybody coming in. I'm sorry if I'm not being a good host, but like I said, this is crazy. Let me see something. And where's the live TV? I want live. And I'm not even supposed to be on here, but I just could not sit back and not knowing that I have a platform and not let my voice be heard about how stupid this is, how you had peaceful protesters not a good 6 months ago that got shoveled and it's just, damn, I done lost my feed. I done lost my feed. Watch live. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. I got it back, y'all. Thank y'all for, because now I know how newscasters feel when they be having breaking news and shit. I don't want no damn Arabic come back. But this is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. And see, and my thing is this. I wonder what's gonna happen here where I am, because Georgia just went blue all the way down. Oscoff won his. Hard Knock won. So because Georgia is now blue. You know, are these fools after sundown gonna start acting a fool? Oh, I'm in the house, baby. I'm in the house. I am in the house. Not me. I am in the house. Because and I need to shoot DJ Cat a text message, and because she should be getting off in a little bit, and I need her to bring her ass on. I need her to get her ass here. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Bring your ass and get in this house. Because see, I'm sorry it's taking this time. I had to I had to find the damn thing again, and I think this is it. I think this is the live stream. If it would just load, I could bring it to y'all.
Listen to what he says now.
Here we go.
He says, "This is beyond wrong and illegal. It's un-American. The president undermined American democracy baselessly for months, and as a result, he is culpable for this siege and an utter disgrace. Despite of him, not because of him, police will regain control and prosecute those involved." Of course, let's also look at what his first chief of staff, Reince Priebus, said earlier today. He tweeted calling many of these people domestic terrorists, saying many are criminals and troublemakers, all acting in a manner opposite of patriotism. Wolf, those are much stronger words that you are hearing from the president's former senior staff than you heard from the president himself tonight, who in that video that he finally released, it was his third try commenting on what we've seen unfold in the Capitol today, say that people should go home, peacefully go home. But the president also said, "We love you," and said that he understood where they were coming from. And of course, baselessly alleged what is at the root out of a lot of this, which are these claims that this election was stolen from him, which of course it is not. That is the only time we've seen the president since that rally earlier today, where he was encouraging people to go to Capitol Hill. And so far, we have not heard any other comment from the White House.
And see, his ass can be brought up on charges for inciting a riot.
Now, for weeks, that the election was stolen. He insists he won in a landslide election. He is still continuing to lie and, in effect, egg on these rioters to continue what they're doing. Phil Mattingly is up on Capitol Hill. Phil, what are you seeing?
Well, right now you're seeing really the crowd in the east front start to stream out at a pretty steady clip. But I think the biggest thing that I'm hearing right now from lawmakers is they want to finish what they started today. And this goes for both parties. Lawmakers have been texting back and forth with lawmakers that have been in undisclosed locations surrounded by law enforcement officials and tactical gear with semi-automatic rifles. They are making clear they want to finish today. Now, the big question that they have, and I think what everybody's waiting for right now, is a couple things. One, they need to ensure that not just the Capitol is completely clear, but we've also seen and heard that law enforcement is sweeping through office buildings as well. He talked about the alleged pipe bombs in places just outside the Capitol complex. So law enforcement has a bigger job here than just trying to figure out where things stand inside the Capitol building itself. So that's one piece of this. The other thing as well, and I think this is what a lot of lawmakers are focused on right now, is how quickly can they get back into the chambers and what state are the chambers in? We obviously saw that some of the rioters or trespassers got into the chambers, what they did in those chambers, so that needs to be kind of figured out as well. But I think there's one thing that has been consistent, and again, I say this from a bipartisan manner, from lawmakers I've been talking to over the last hour and a half. They have gone from very rattled, very unsettled about what occurred and how quickly they were moved off the House floor, moved off the Senate floor, and into undisclosed locations surrounded by law enforcement, into very firmly believing that they want to finish this process and finish this process tonight. I think one other point, had a couple of Democratic senators tweet this out. Staffers actually grabbed the documents needed to complete the process of tallying the electors for certification on their way while they were rushing.
So they're not running the
United States Senate. So they still have those. And I think one of the concerns in the madness or the rush when this was all happening is what happens if those were left there while these trespassers or rioters were on the Senate floor. Multiple senators say staff has those. They're ready to go. It's just a matter of when they can actually get inside the chambers and go. As one senator texted me just a short while ago, we're ready to rock and roll. We just need the green light, Wolf.
Well, when they reconvene, assuming they reconvene, I don't know if they'll reconvene tonight or tomorrow, whenever, are they simply going to go through and certify what the Electoral College did, the 50 states and the District of Columbia, and approve the electoral vote naming Joe Biden the next president of the United States? Or will they continue with these objections and try to continue this debate, which is futile?
Well, this has been, I think, the big question we've all been trying to get answers to over the course of the last several hours. This actually came from a Republican lawmaker who said, I don't know how we can continue to pursue the objections after what just occurred. However, those who were putting up the objections or said they were supporting the objections made very clear their purpose wasn't to overturn the election, despite the fact that they were aligning with the president, who made very clear he was trying to overturn the election and align in intentionally or not, with those who rushed the Capitol, made very clear they were trying to overturn the election. So I don't have the answer to that right now. I don't know that the lawmakers who are proposing the objections have the answer to that right now. But I can tell you there is a critical and growing mass of lawmakers, including some of those who may have been on the fence about whether or not to support some of these objections, that just want to get this done, get this over with, and move on. This has been kind of a splash of cold water in everybody's face. These aren't just words. These aren't just people making things up. This isn't just the media. This is reality. Things got very, very real in very, very close proximity to a lot of lawmakers, particularly in the middle of a pandemic when you haven't necessarily been able to have town halls, you haven't necessarily been able to meet face-to-face with a lot of people. You only hear from your most dedicated constituents, and on the Republican side, they are all very dedicated to President Trump. This got very real very fast. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out when they reconvene, when they get things back together again. Because to be completely frank, Wolf, I haven't talked to a lawmaker, including several, and I spoke to a couple on air, several who were deployed downrange in Iraq or Afghanistan, who weren't coming away from this experience pretty shaken by what they saw.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do either. I did see a tweet from Senator Josh Hawley, who's been one of the architects of this futile challenge to what the Electoral College did. And in that statement that he tweeted, he ended by saying, Congress must get back to work and finish its job. Finish its job. I don't know what that means, but we'll try to figure that out. Jim Acosta is over at the White House getting more information as well. What are you learning, Jim?
Well, just an update on the state of mind of the president right now and the state of mind of staffers inside the White House who are shell-shocked by some of these events up on Capitol Hill. I talked to a White House official just a short time ago who said, you know, before the president released that video, before the president made the decision to call in the National Guard, aides to the president had to go to the president in the Oval Office and almost beg him to make these decisions, to beg him to make that video, to record that video, and also to make this decision to call in the National Guard. Why is that important? Because this president is going to be in charge, presumably, for the next 14 days. And if the president can only throw gasoline on the fire, it is going to be up to this skeletal staff that he has left over here at the White House to go to the president and get him to try to do the right thing from time to time. I think
I'm gonna come back to that. Did y'all hear that bullshit? So he out there standing out there like he care. And they had you, like the man, beg him to take your ignorant ass, bring your ignorant ass out this office and tell these folks to stop, basically. But this is what they wanted. This is what. And the sad thing about this country is, okay, yeah, Biden got over almost 90, you might as well say 90 million, because I think it was like 84, 85 million votes. He got, Mango Unchained got like 70 million votes. So it is 70 million people in this country that thinks like this and is believing this bullshit. And he know this, but they have to beg you to come out here and tell the folks who you told to come here in the first place to stop and go home. Really? But like I said, and like I will always continue to say, and they wonder why both houses are not Democrat.
He is up to the job when it comes to fanning the flames and causing this awful scene that we saw up on Capitol Hill today that's still unfolding. But he is not equipped to take things down a notch unless these staffers go in there and essentially beg him to do it, which is what happened earlier today, Wolf.
Yeah, it is so awful. John King is still with us. John, you know, it's so many people are emailing me, texting me. They're accusing the president of actually being an accomplice to what these rioters and these mobsters were doing up on Capitol Hill.
Well, again, he will say he did not encourage them to break into the building or to break glass or to violate security rules and go into the chamber or to go into the speaker's office. That's what the president will say. But the president also encouraged those people to march on the Capitol. The president also keeps saying, even in his third statement today, that video he released, that the election was stolen when it was not. So the president can say or believe what he believes. He can try to rewrite the truth, as he has done almost every day the last 4 years. But he incited this, encouraged this, and supported this because he wants to continue this fantasy that the election can be overturned. So now, Wolf, here we are, 2 weeks from the end of the Trump term, and the drama continues. And what you could call domestic terrorism, certainly disruption illegal conduct continues here. And we're going to watch as the police push this out. So there's a number of interesting political things happening. You have groups like the Lincoln Project, long a critic of the president, saying he should be impeached in his final 2 weeks. That's not going to happen, but you have this political debate again in the final 2 weeks. You have the National Association of Manufacturers. It's one of the business groups in town that represents manufacturers, saying the vice president should consider invoking the 25th Amendment and removing the president from office in his final 2 weeks.
Exactly. I wonder what's taking so long.
The much more dangerous scene we saw earlier in the daylight hours at the United States Capitol. And to echo what Phil Mattingly just said, I've been in communications with some leadership aides on both sides, both in the Senate, the Republican leadership still in the Senate, and the Democratic leadership in the House, about how important both leaders, Speaker Pelosi and Leader McConnell, believe it is to get back in that building tonight and to at least get back. Whether they finish tonight, I think, is an open question. That depends on whether you have more objections. But they both believe it is absolutely critical to send the signal that you may have disrupted us, you may have knocked us out of the building, but you will not stop us from doing what we came to do today, which is supposed to be a cherished constitutional tradition in the United States, embracing and affirming and accepting the election of Joe Biden as president of the United States.
A peaceful transfer of power. That's what we've always seen. Alex Marquardt, what's going on where you are, Alex?
Every president since I've been
Wolf, we are
knowing
on the western side
and aware
of
of president elections. So since I was 10 years old, everyone I've seen,
has just moved in.
whoever lost,
looking at now is what
transfer of power, smooth, none of this. This is the first time.
Before this 6 p.m. curfew, have moved in here to push out the rioters. They have been shouting, "Move back," at this crowd of hundreds, if not more,
gas supporters
on the western side of the Capitol building. This, Wolf, is where in exactly 14 days' time, President-elect Biden will be inaugurated. In the background, you can see the Washington Monument. The police have now decided, after several hours of this huge mass gathering on the western side of the Capitol, to flush them out. We have heard reports of tear gas. I have not seen that in the last few moments, but there's no question that the Metropolitan Police Department, as well as the other law enforcement agencies, will not hesitate. Here we're being asked to move back. Yes, officer, we will. You can see this officer, for example, fully equipped with riot control gear. And as I was saying, Wolf, we do not get the impression that they will hesitate to use those riot control measures to get these masses of rioters away from the Capitol, which they attacked and have been, which they got into over the course of the afternoon, Wolf.
Yeah, they should use all means necessary to get this under control. This is a disgrace what's going on up on Capitol Hill right now. Just be careful over there. You know, we'll stay in very close touch with you, Alex, and we can see crowds are still there, John King. We can see them. They're beginning to leave, but it's a really dangerous situation. Donnie O'Sullivan is still there. Donnie, tell us what's going on.
Hey, Wolf. Yeah, some tear gas was deployed here in the past few minutes. That's why you're seeing these people coming down, the sort of last stragglers, really, who are here left at the Capitol. We've seen thousands of people move off the lawn in the past few hours.
Exactly.
And they've all been telling us how proud they are to be a part of this mob. They're repeating all the conspiracy theories that President Trump has been spewing for months and that he spewed outside the White House today. And it's really just quite a surreal scene here. And I think we better move beyond this police line, as they're really now moving all of us out of here, Wolf.
I just want you to be careful, Donnie. Be careful over there. Go ahead, Donnie.
We're just hearing some really, vile language being directed at members of the media. People just, again, repeating these lies. People who are totally in denial that in just a few weeks, only a few hundred feet from here, Joe Biden is going to be inaugurated president of the United States. You could see we're stepping over the fences and barriers that were broken by these members of this mob earlier today. We were here, we marched from the White House after Trump's address. We marched with Trump supporters, and when they breached this barrier, it's happened all of a sudden shortly after he concluded speaking. and people just started pushing and moving up, and we've seen destruction all around this area, Wolf, and we keep hearing over and over again. I just heard somebody else saying, this is just the beginning. Wolf?
Yeah, I assume they're saying, Donnie, what the president himself just said in this videotape that he posted on Twitter, that he said.
Are they going to show that? That's what I'm waiting for them to show. If they show it, if they're able to show it, then.
Especially the other side. These are total lies, but it comes from the president of the United States, and it's encouraging these rioters to do what they're doing, right?
Hey guys, oh, Sam.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm going to share some on the screen right quick.
Conspiracy theories have really.
That's what they upset about.
Playing such a prominent role in American life that you're.
Those are the results from the runoff election that took place on yesterday.
Their failure to act on conspiracy theories and
so yes,
speech online. And we're seeing the results of that play out here on the streets of our nation's capital today. I mean, we're beyond the fact in 2016.
So now they big mad. That's why I'm concerned about what these clowns gonna do here in Georgia.
Facebook posts what harm? Here's the harm. The harm of conspiracy theories, the harm of lies, the harm of people living in these online and Trump media echo chambers where they are so deluded,
and you hear
they can't get to grips with reality and understand that Joe Biden will soon be president.
In 14 days, he will become the president of the United States. Donnie, just be careful over there. I know that we're less than a half an hour from the curfew that will be imposed here in the nation's capital. Hard to believe that this is going on at this sensitive moment right now. Brian Todd, you're getting more information as well. What are you learning?
Well, Wolf, several law enforcement vehicles have just moved into the plaza on the east side of the Capitol. Also, a large fire truck, and as you can see over here, there's an ambulance. Eddie Gross, our photojournalist, will pan over there where they just put someone inside the ambulance. I believe they took that person out from inside the Capitol and put them in the ambulance. You see the riot police over here forming a line around the center steps of the east side of the Capitol. Short time ago, they moved the remaining rioters that were on the steps off slowly and peacefully. But, look, as I heard Donnie and some of our colleagues saying earlier, a lot of these rioters are basically crowing that they believe that they kind of won the day here. I heard one rioter yell at the police, you didn't take it back, we gave it back. So they have some swagger here tonight. Most of them have left the plaza at this point, but I think a big question now is what's security going to be like overnight and into tomorrow morning. I just heard Alex reporting that they're moving people off the west side, and we're expecting more police to come in shortly on the east side here as some stragglers remain. But, the question is, are they going to clear everyone out of this plaza as they did in the morning? Because, again, I can't emphasize enough how quickly this all unraveled. In the place where I'm standing right now, this was completely clear of people. The protesters were behind a barricade of just kind of behind us over here. And it just unraveled in an instant, both here on the east side and on the west side of the Capitol. Eddie, let's move over this way a little bit. And, we can tell you that, we did see some flashbangs and some smoke grenades going off over here on the north side of the Capitol a short time ago as they pushed rioters back. So the question is going to be, what is security going to be like here in the overnight hours and later tonight, Wolf?
Do these rioters, these mobsters, do they understand that there is a curfew that's going to go into effect in less than a half an hour, that if they're on the streets of Washington, D.C., they could be arrested?
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
Well,
don't tell them that.
Broadcast that.
Don't tell them that. So that way they learn.
We're being harassed a little bit here, Wolf. So we have to
go ahead. Just be careful. Be careful over there. I want you to be safe. John King, it's hard to believe, John. People all over the world are watching what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now, including world leaders. I'm getting statements, John, from world leaders who are shocked. Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, says shocking scenes in Washington, D.C. The outcome of this democratic election must be respected. And there's more and more world leaders, John, people all over the world can't believe what's going on here in Washington, D.C. There's a threat to a peaceful transfer of power.
No, and these foot soldiers of a movement, they say, will make America great again, or making America an embarrassment to the world today. Well, Boris Johnson, The President's ally, the Prime Minister of the UK, issuing a very similar statement. I'm getting messages, as you are, from friends, from sources, from government officials, ambassadors around the world, some here in Washington representing overseas countries. They just simply don't understand what is going on. They can't believe what they are seeing in the United States of America, which is supposed to be the beacon of the global democracies. It's supposed to be, that shining city on a hill. It's supposed to be, as many of the conservative Republicans helping the president with his fantasy challenge to an election that is over. They always say America is an exceptional. They're for an exceptional America. Well, this does not make America an exceptional. Respecting our norms and our democracy doesn't. To that point, Wolf, I want to come back to something you reported to our viewers earlier today about what we're seeing, the deployment of the National Guard. You read the statement from the acting defense secretary, where he said the acting defense secretary and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff spoke with the vice president, Speaker Pelosi, Leader McConnell, Senator Schumer, Representative Hoyer. What's missing? The president. They spoke to the vice president, not the president of the United States. Where is he? Does he not want any part of this? He's the president of the United States who doesn't attend coronavirus task force meetings, who refuses to meet with the experts on the pandemic that is sweeping across the country. And now the vice president has to coordinate with the Pentagon on the response. He's president for 2 more weeks. At least that's what the Constitution and the calendar says. But when you read that statement, it just jumped out at me that this is his job. It's thankful that the vice president's helping coordinate the security response here. Whether you agree or disagree with the Trump administration's politics, you should be grateful the vice president is helping with that. But where is the president at this time of national crisis?
They need to invoke that 25th Amendment.
Protect the Capitol, protect the lawmakers.
And as of 4 o'clock today, they got the votes to do it.
President of the United States, John, the commander-in-chief, isn't doing his job, even though there's only 14 days left. Should the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution be invoked, which namely suggests that members of the cabinet can come forward and say this president is unfit to be president, to be commander-in-chief?
As I noted earlier, there have been some Democrats who have said that today. There have even some Democrats who said, let's impeach him in the final 2 weeks. A Republican manufacturing group, a Republican-leaning manufacturing group, the National Association of Manufacturers, has raised the 25th Amendment question today. There are 2 weeks left. It is impossible to see that happening. But what is just the stirring of this debate again? What does it tell you? That this administration, which has been toxic from the beginning, is even more toxic at the end, when you would think that even in a Trump administration, even for all the outrage and the disregard of norms and truths and institutions and facts and election math, you would think after all of that, the president, normally we think the president is about himself, that he would think, if I want to run again, if I want to have a legacy, I would at least exit with some dignity. But that's not happening, Wolf, which is why these questions will continue about impeachment, about the 25th Amendment, about his willingness, his ability, his capability to do his job to the very end.
We see a standoff unfolding between police and these rioters. Donnie O'Sullivan is watching it. You're right there, Donnie.
I'm getting behind on the messages. Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, we are here at the police line. The police have pushed the members of this mob, these Trump supporters, away off the Capitol grounds, and we are here at the west front of the U.S. Capitol. We're actually at the spot where the barriers were originally broken earlier today when we were here, and it's quite surreal, Wolf, because we're seeing these Trump supporters shouting at these police, accusing these police of being traitors. Of course, we always hear from the Trump White House and Trump supporters how much they love the police, but
this is
seemingly
not
tonight. As we mentioned, tear gas was deployed a few minutes ago. That's how the police were able to move these people down off the lawn outside the U.S. Capitol, and you could still taste remnants of that tear gas in the air. But well, and if our photojournalist Jeremy could just pan to left here, I mean, you see these Trump supporters, people wearing the MAGA hats, just shouting abuse at these members of the police in Washington who are doing their jobs. Wolf?
Yeah, all right, stand by, Donnie. I want to go back to Jake. Jake, I understand you have a special guest.
That's right, Wolf. Thanks so much. Joining us now on the phone, the mayor of Washington, D.C., Mayor Muriel Bowser. Mayor Bowser, thanks so much for joining us. You put in place a 6 p.m.
They got
curfew.
18 minutes to get their ass in.
How worried are you about what might come tonight in D.C.? We're already hearing from these, whatever you want to call them, rioters, terrorists, anarchists, insurrectionists. We're already hearing from them that they're planning to get even rougher when it gets darker?
Well, thanks, Jake, for having me on. We have a curfew in place, and we're advising everyone to leave the area, to vacate the Capitol grounds, and to go to their place of residence or wherever they're staying, and preferably go back to their states. What we've seen at the Capitol today is certainly unpatriotic. It's wrong and it's illegal. I have fully deployed the Metropolitan.
Then why,
Police
if it's
Department,
illegal, lock all their asses up. Every ass out there need to be locked up. Come on, man.
The building and will establish a perimeter and enforce our curfew.
I have to say, I'm surprised that these insurrectionist rioters were able to get into the Capitol to begin with. They were breaking windows. There was blood spilled. I know that the Capitol security is the responsibility of U.S. Capitol Police, and they don't report to you. They report to Congress. But what's your best understanding about why this was able to happen?
Well, certainly we are there to assist the U.S. Capitol Police with any and all requests. I think you know the very significant perimeters we established around D.C. streets, and we're right there to support them. And now to enter the building to make sure we have control and maintain control in order in the district overnight and over the next days.
Do you think if this was a Black Lives Matter protest, they would have been able to get into the Capitol and wreak the havoc that these pro-Trump people were able to cause? I mean,
I can answer that. Hell to the no, they would.
It seems like there's a real double standard.
It is.
MAGA protesters were able to
call it out.
Acts of violence that they can't imagine any other group being able to cause in Congress.
Well, I can certainly talk about our response to all of the protests and our assistance to our federal partners and vice versa. And what we've seen here is a breach of our very democracy. And so we will continue to work with our partners to get it under control.
In 15 minutes, the curfew drops, and
any ass that's on that street, lock their ass up.
Will they be arrested?
Our police are moving, and we'll work with not just the D.C. police. We have called in to support D.C. streets and the U.S. Capitol response. Our neighbors, as well as the D.C. National Guard. I've requested the guards from Maryland and Virginia to also come in. So people will be held accountable. We want everybody to move out and to move out quickly, but the curfew will be enforced.
So is that a yes? They will be arrested? I mean, the Metropolitan Police Department has been told that if these protesters are still there after the curfew, they will be arrested?
They are going to deploy.
Bitch, answer the question. Are they going to be arrested?
So that's a yes?
Well, I can't tell you every single strategy that the police are going to use.
Are they going to be arrested? See, she full of shit.
As a tool to move people out.
Has anybody been arrested today? Do you know?
There have been many arrests today and yesterday. I don't have the full readout of the number of arrests. We expect to provide that by this evening.
The entire D.C. National Guard
because she's talking outside.
Do you have the resources?
She talking outside of her fucking neck. That was a simple yes or no answer. If in 13 minutes, if these folks are still on the damn street, will they be arrested? Yes or no?
Resources, including the guards from a number of states that I just mentioned, and we will continue to get the resources that we need throughout the night.
President Trump released a video. He told his supporters to go home, but he also expressed sympathy for them. He said he loved them. He also continued his blatant lies about the election. Do you think that video was helpful, or did it end up throwing more fuel on the fire?
Well, the fuel has been thrown on this fire for 4 straight years, and certainly in the last week, we've heard this president, outgoing president, other current elected officials incite violence, and we see the results of that violence. So I didn't get a chance to see the video, but we continue to urge the president to tell his supporters that they are putting police officers, innocent people in harm's way, and they need to go home.
Do you know anything about the shooting today on Capitol Hill? A woman was shot. Is she okay? Do you know, was she one of the rioters, or was she someone else?
I know, Jake, that matter is under investigation, and we can't confirm the details at this time.
Is there anything you can tell us about the pipe bombs that have been reported having been found outside the Republican National Committee, the DNC, and the U.S. Capitol?
We know that we responded to credible reports of at least 2 incendiary devices. I can't give you any specifics about them right now.
Is there anything more you want to tell anybody watching this who might be in Washington, D.C. right now?
We're telling, and our residents have heeded our guidance to stay at home. We want everybody protesting and rioting on the Capitol grounds and anywhere else to go home, and they need to start moving out right now.
All right, we see some people moving. I don't know if they're moving out right now. I certainly hope that they are. Mayor Bowser, best of luck battling this. I know in addition to this, you have the COVID crisis you're dealing with. You need this like you need another hole in your head. Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
I mean, one of the things that I think in looking at these images, you have to ask yourself.
This is she just pissed me off. She just pissed me off. And for her to be a black woman and not to come out and definitively say, if these folks are on your streets in 11 minutes, will they be arrested? Yes or no? They had, see, I'm getting pissed off with everybody now. See, because they had no problem saying that over the summer when you had the peaceful protesters, that if they were on the street, they would be arrested. But I see, she just gave me house nigger tease just then. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be using harsh language. So if you're not used to me using this kind of language, hey. She just gave me house nigga tease. Oh, I don't know. We gonna lock up these good white folk now. Now we gonna get him. No, lock their ass up if they still on the street.
Vice President Pence about deploying the National Guard to the streets of DC to protect the Capitol. Why would that be the case? We have a sitting United States president who is supposed to be on the job and apparently is not. And I think that this is a real concern. It should be a concern for Congress. It should be a concern for Pence, for the people who are still working in that building at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is a president who is absent in a moment of crisis and beyond absent, has instigated this moment of crisis.
Because he caused it.
You know, I live in Washington, D.C. Watching what is going on in the Capitol is really unbelievable. I have seen all kinds of things happen at this Capitol building, at this Capitol compound. I've never seen what seems to be such a lack of control over the situation. It seems almost that even in your conversation, Jake, with Mayor Bowser, that she's very carefully threading this line between what she can control, which are the forces under her command, and what the federal government is responsible for.
But she wouldn't criticize.
And she would not criticize. Yeah. She would not criticize the federal government. But she's in such a tenuous position. Who is going to establish order, or to quote President Trump, law and order on the streets of Washington, D.C.? This is really important because they have stormed the Capitol. Yeah. They have put people in danger. People today have been seriously injured or potentially worse. And we have not gotten a sense that there's really anybody in charge.
And as you were interviewing Mayor Bowser, we got word that the Virginia governor issued a curfew for the DC suburbs in Virginia, Alexandria, and Arlington, also 6 p.m. So we're talking, about 8 minutes from now. There's supposed to be a curfew in place there as well. Another thing that
now what's messed up about this is
all of this is happening.
You got folks that went to work this morning
is
in those areas where this now 6 o'clock curfew is that's gonna be trying to get off and gonna probably get harassed because they're out on the road because these outside agitators
the Electoral College and to make it
came
even more
in and
official
started
that
acting a
Joe
fool.
Biden will be president and will be inaugurated.
This
on
is
January
a prime.
20th.
This is a prime
Behind the
example
scenes,
of
because
outside
these senators
agitators. They
and
tried to
House
say
members,
that was the Black Lives Matter
in
protesters.
undisclosed locations. A lot of them are together.
And
there are conversations
back
going
during
on.
civil rights,
I am told
you know,
Raju,
anybody
was told similar,
protesting, no, they were
particularly in
outside
the Senate,
agitators
as we
because
talked
they
about
good.
earlier,
Them black
we
folk,
need
they black folk
if the
know
House
not to
member
be
is
out
going
in the
to
street
raise
like that.
objection, they
So
need
these are
a
outside
convening the
agitators.
senator to stop.
And if they come, in 7 minutes, if they are still out there on that
trying to convince
street,
the Republicans
agitate their asses to the nearest paddy wagon, jail, whatever.
Arizona, we knew that it was Georgia, we knew that it was Pennsylvania, trying to convince them, okay, enough, back down. Clearly, the point was made, and we need to move on and we need to wrap this up. The plan is still to try to get back into the Senate tonight, to get back onto the House floor tonight, but those conversations are happening as we speak.
Yeah, the point is made, meaning the lie has been given credence by you protesting House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Senator Ted Cruz, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. You have given credibility, and that's why these people are so mad and they're rioting. Congratulations. I want to go to Manu Raju right now, who last we heard from him, he was being escorted through the bowels of the U.S. Senate, taken to an undisclosed location. Manu, where are you? Are you safe?
Yeah, we are safe. We are in a secure location. We are there's lots of law enforcement officers here, and a bit of good news after a chaotic day. Law enforcement is now telling the Capitol, telling people in the Capitol building is now secure. So they feel that the building is now secure. There's a message coming from the Senate and House Sergeant at Arms. They are the key officials who ensure that the security of this building. So after rioters stormed the building, damaged the property, and created havoc, and engaged in violent confrontations with police. Now law enforcement believes that the Capitol building is now secure. So what does that mean going forward? Going forward, it means that they are pushing to get back to their business, to do what they were supposed to do at the onset of the day, which is, of course, the electoral vote certification. I'm told from various House and Senate sources that there is a major push to get this done tonight, to go through the proceedings on both sides in the House and Senate, to go through all the, if there are still objections, to go through those objections. And as Dana just noted, there is pressure built.
If I'm in charge of it, I would not. Why?
Who want to object and
ain't no objections. We're not here for that. We're here to certify this and get so I can get home to my family. I ain't got time to sit and listen to grown ass folks throw temper tantrums. Now, 4 years ago, when folks was protesting Mango on Chain election, we were libtards and snowflakes and soft and crybabies. What the hell y'all doing?
Are you urging your fellow Republicans to drop this effort?
And when I say we, I mean Dems and folks that was against the Mango on Chain.
Jake, bit of good news.
Yeah, it was protest, but it wasn't all that.
Hopefully,
they didn't do all that. So, yeah.
See how quickly they're able to do it.
Let's call a thing a thing.
Those individual senators who want to object will continue to do so, but clearly pressure is building after this chaotic day to show some unity here in Capitol Hill. Jay.
Yeah, it's just surreal. I feel like I'm talking to a correspondent reporting from the Bogota. The Capitol has been secured. Wolf.
Yeah, it's a dramatic moment. The D.C. curfew is about to take effect 3.5 minutes or so.
And that's what I'm waiting on.
A lot of people still
that's what I'm waiting on.
Capitol Hill. Local police, the National Guard personnel, they're going to be focusing.
It's like the lunatics is taking over the asylum,
trying to get these people off the streets.
That's the best way I can describe it. The lunatics have taken over the asylum.
We heard the mayor, Jake, in her interview with you, Mayor Bowser, making it clear that almost everyone, except if they have authorization from the mayor herself, they have to be off the streets of Washington, D.C. from 6 p.m., that's in 4 minutes or so, until 6 a.m. But looks like a whole bunch of people are ignoring that order for this curfew. Donnie O'Sullivan, you're there. I suspect you're seeing a lot of folks ignoring this curfew order as well.
And they playing music. See, they taking this from a joke. You're gonna have to lock some motherfuckers. You're gonna have to break some. I'm sorry, they're gonna have to bust some heads and lock some people up.
Listening to a Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. We've seen very little of that today.
I'm so sorry. That's why I am with
clearly
this.
Will not get back to their homes or hotels by the 6 p.m. Curfew this evening. And we have seen some more police movement in the past few minutes. Police gently trying to push people a little bit further. We've seen some additional police come here to the line. And we're not quite sure what is going to play out here at 6 p.m. But certainly, as far as I could see here, there are dozens, perhaps over 100. I can see at least probably 100 people in my line of sight here, but there may be many more. And they have looked like they have no intention of going anywhere, Wolf, by this curfew.
Donnie, have you seen police actually arresting individuals who may have broken the law, trespassed, broken windows, entered secure areas? Or are the police, based on what you've seen, simply trying to disperse these individuals and telling them to get out of there?
Yeah, it looks for the most part that they are just trying to disperse these people peacefully. We did see a little scuffle with police.
Okay, so you mean to tell me, you telling me,
somebody who seemed not to be cooperating, they were actually.
wait a minute. Okay, see, because now you're playing in my face. You telling me that these folks bust into and damage federal property, and they're not being locked up and being forced. You're just telling that you're requesting them to please return to that. That's that bullshit, man. That's that bullshit. If anybody can't see right now what I've been saying, what the black community has, the majority of the black community been saying forever, that it is a difference between the way police treat people of color and white folks.
Let's see if the police actually moved in. Alex Marquardt,
now
in a different location.
They got 1 minute.
Are folks ignoring the curfew where you are as well?
They are ignoring the curfew.
That's why, and I'm not trying to disrespect any veteran out there, but any person of color that go and enlist in this here country's military is a damn fool. No, never. You go fight for a country and then come home and you still lower than dog shit on the bottom of their shoe. No.
Pushed these Trump supporters back from the Capitol. You can see the western side of the White House.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. What y'all gonna do?
Building, excuse me.
It's 6 o'clock.
That has been entirely cleared. Wolf, that entire lawn this afternoon was filled with people. Now, as we have gotten closer to the curfew, we have seen that area cleared. So a lot of this crowd, the vast majority, I would say, of this crowd that was out here this afternoon has melted away. But there is still a large number who have gathered down here. If you know Washington, D.C., this is the Capitol reflecting pool. And so at least for now, Wolf, they show
it's 6 o'clock.
No sign of going home.
It's
there
6
has
o'clock.
been some tear gas fired. Our colleagues have seen that. We have seen that throughout
6
the
o'clock.
afternoon.
They on the street.
There are a lot of riot police in full riot gear with gas masks. The ones that you're looking at now do not have that same sort of gear. So it's a bit of a mix. This has been a cooperative effort between local police departments, not just from Washington, D.C., but also from Virginia and Maryland, as well as their federal counterparts, U.S. Capitol Police up in the Capitol, as well as various federal agencies, and of course the National Guard that we now know has been fully mobilized by Mayor Bowser. This curfew now in effect. Wolf, you've been asking about arrests. If we go by past precedent, when we've seen curfews in the past, that doesn't necessarily mean they're just going to start arresting people on site because they're out and about. But that certainly could happen as the evening wears on.
They did it for the Black Lives Matter
so the curfew is now in effect, but these Trump supporters, many of them still out here, Wolf.
Yeah, it's an awful situation. The curfew now is in effect, but I don't see the police going about starting to tell these people they're going to be about to be arrested for violating the curfew.
Right.
They should not be on the streets of Washington, D.C. right now. They should be heading to their hotels or to their homes or someplace else, or just get out of the area, because the curfew, DC curfew, is now in effect. John King
2 minutes.
just got a statement. Let me read a sentence or two from the former President George W. Bush. Actually, you have it, John. Go ahead and read the statement for us.
Well, if I will read it, and it is striking, just the contrast of the last Republican president, George W. Bush, compared here to the current Republican president, Donald Trump. Laura and I are watching the scenes of mayhem and unfolding at the seat of our nation's government in disbelief and dismay, former President Bush says. It is a sickening and heartbreaking sight. This is how election results are disputed in a banana republic, not our democratic republic. I am appalled by the reckless behavior of some political leaders since the election, and by the lack of respect shown today for our institutions, our traditions, and our law enforcement. The violent assault on the Capitol and disruption of a constitutionally mandated meeting of Congress was undertaken by people whose passions have been inflamed by falsehoods and false hopes. Insurrection could do grave damage to our nation and reputation. In the United States of America, it is the fundamental responsibility of every patriotic citizen to support the rule of law. To those who are disappointed in the results of the election, our country is more important than the politics of the moment. Let the officials elected by the people fulfill their duties and represent our voices in peace and safety. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Now, again, George Bush is not a perfect man, and he was not a perft president, but Wolf, someone who understands, man himself.
Hell no, but W, oh my God. But shit, I'd rather have W the past 4 years. Would have preferred W the past 4 years than this lunatic.
This assault today undertaken by people whose passions have been inflamed by falsehoods and false hopes. We know who he's talking about when he says that.
Yeah, and he says, let the officials elected by the people fulfill their duties and represent our voices in peace and safety. But we know one person who was elected by the people. That would be the President of the United States, who's clearly not fulfilling his duty as Commander-in-Chief and as President of the United States. It's interesting, John, that the statement released by former President George W. Bush is entitled A Statement on the Insurrection at the Capitol. That's a very strong word. Insurrection.
But it's a fair word. He's calling it like he sees it. And George W. Bush, again, whether you supported him or not, whether you agreed with him or not, he was always plain spoken. And he's calling, and it's also true. Look, it's just a fact. There's no love lost between the Bush family and President Trump. And so there is some history, if you will. But remember, George W. Bush, a president for 2 terms, the son of a president who also served as vice president, a man who, again, there can be a debate about his faults and policy, and people can have that debate. He so respected the office. He so respected the building. He so respected the institutions of government. He so respected the relationship. He so respected, even when he sparred with it, the news media. A president who understood, because of how he was raised, because of the family he came from, because of his public service in Texas and his public service in Washington. He understood there are lines. There are ways to protest. There are ways not to protest. So, look, there's a debate about this president. There's a debate in the Republican Party about what to do now that this president is leaving. George W. Bush, largely silent since he has left office. He speaks very rarely, and he speaks when he thinks he is compelled to speak. And so a very important statement here, talking about the mayhem, insurrection, as you say. He doesn't mention President Trump, but there's just no question. Falsehoods, false hopes, and then essentially calling on other Republicans to step up. That's the main point of this statement, calling on the other Republicans who will get back in that Capitol building as soon as the security forces tell them it is secure and it is safe for them to go back in it. The former President George W. Bush hoping, look, the Bush name has become a dirty word in the Trump era of Republican politics, but hoping that people, I'll say, look to their better angels and get it right when they come back in that building.
And okay, and with that, y'all, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm sitting here at a loss of words by this whole thing. This is crazy. But like I said, this is what happens when you let the lunatics run the asylum, I guess. And with that, y'all, I thank y'all for coming over here. I appreciate the thumbs up and the likes that I got. I really do. I'm finna log off here. Y'all probably won't see me again until probably Tuesday night for the watch party over here, unless something really jumps off. Again, for those of you that just came in or didn't see it when I first flashed it, this is the results have been finalized from the runoff races that took place in Georgia on yesterday. And yes, Georgia has officially went blue. That means both houses and the White House is not Democrat. And they wonder why. They wonder, they wondering why. This proves it. But y'all, with that being said, I'm finna log back off here. Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming and stopping by. If anything else pop off, I'll come back on. But y'all, I'm just at a loss. I don't know about y'all. I'm just at a loss of words. I can't believe I'm sitting here watching this. I can't believe that this is going on here, and it is 2021, and this is going on. Thank y'all again. Thank you for the support of the platform. I will be talking to y'all later.